Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Have you ever wondered why there were so many voices trying to designate Russia as a terrorist state? I know the answer would be, oh, because it is one. Okay, let's move on past that. But why? What would be the consequences or some consequences if Russia is considered and designated by the international community as a terrorist state? What are going to do about it? Well, I have here two articles, and one of them will explain unwillingly. It's not going to be like I will explain it to you. They say it as is, it's a designated terrorist, and then we can move on to this one. And I'm like, okay, now I know. Ukraine is not a terrorist state. Only Russia is. Why? I'm going to show you exactly why here, or at least one of the reasons. I'm not going to discuss here if Russia is a terrorist state or not. I would just point out why certain people seem to me want to push it that way, and what will be the perks if they succeed. This is an article from USA Today. Quote unquote, terrorist state, Russia's latest barrage brings more death, fury in Ukraine. So, I'm not going to read you this article because this article is going to tell us that the Russians kill only civilians, kindergartens, hospitals, old people, crippled, and whatever. So I spare you of that. That's by default, okay? And only the Russians are doing that all the time. Now I'm going to jump to the next article, which is the more important one, and it's from European Pravda. And I'm quoting, Ukraine needs the court to rule that Russia is a criminal state. Then we will move on to reparation. Now you can say, well, criminal state is not the same thing as a terrorist state. Well, I think it's the same thing. So Ukraine needs the court to rule that Russia is a criminal state. Then we will move on to getting more money, because obviously if that's a criminal, the criminal has to pay, correct? Correct. So how is that thing? Follow the money? Okay, all right. So when you hear people coming out and expressing a lot of virtue and providing a lot of virtue signaling, like Trudeau, for instance, the imbecile prime minister of the great country and nation of Canada, then you kind of understand that they want something. What? Anything they want. I'm virtuous, you're not, you owe me. So let's move on here. Oksana Zolotariova is Ukraine co-agent, deputy legal representative. They're going to lose if they have her. In the case against Russia in the International Court of Justice in The Hague, ICJ. She and the other co-agent, Anton Karinevich, are representing Ukraine at The Hague in one of the key anti-Russian cases on Russia's violations of the Genocide Convention, one of the fundamental conventions of modern international law. So, first they will try to win, obviously, and they will make the case that this is a terrorist state, it's a criminal state. And here you have this important thing. What kind of justice? There are no defendants in this court. Putin is not sitting in the dock. So in terms of the ICJ's decision, what will a victory look like for us? And we have here, for justice to be done, it is not enough to just put it in jail. The state's overall strategy is broader. Look at President Zelensky's peace formula, in which we talk about individual accountability for individuals who commit war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. I would say terrorism as well. Including Putin? Question mark. Yes, of course. Both at the level of the Ukrainian legal system and at the International Criminal Court, which is located here nearby. In addition, Russia as a state must be held accountable for the violations of international law it has committed against Ukraine and Ukrainian citizens. Ultimately, we need, as I said in the title, international recognition that Russia is a criminal state. Now, I'm going to read you the last sentence of the article. Pram param pam pam param krum kurum saram pam pam pipili po koko koko zupulo povu putsup. Hip it is. Hip it is. So by then it will be a different Russia that will be forced to comply with the decision on reparations, money. All right. So I'm all for justice, but I'm for justice for all, and that is justice should be blind. So I would also look at some attacks from the Ukrainian side, and I'm pretty sure the Russians can provide that kind of evidence, and if not, good. Remember, the criminals must pay, be them Russians or Ukrainians or Americans or whomever. Correct? Correct. So if we are at that, let's take it chronologically, shall we? So therefore we have to click, 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 click. That's turning back the time. Click, 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 click somehow. And we get to 1999. Shit, Emil. Here we go again with Yugoslavia. Yes, with Yugoslavia. If you remember, the bombardment and the killing of civilians and destroying the Yugoslavian infrastructure was not authorized, as far as I know, by the Security Council. So, UN, Security Council. And that would probably make, if I remember correctly, a war crime any crime that occurred due to that invasion. So, I got some names that I can bring you here who were involved in that bombardment. I can also look at the false premises of invading and destroying, building Iraq and bringing democracy and freedom, something that it's not NATO's business to do. But hey, why do we get tangled in details? Because we get tangled in these details here with the Ukrainians, which I'm all for it. But while we are at it, why don't we go back? And while we are at it, why don't we go back and let's say in 1945, and we get that guy who dropped 2 atomic bombs on civilian infrastructure, on citizens. That's a war crime. Can we decide that was a war crime or not? No? Okay then. So then why should a person now say, you know what, yes, I'm gonna be over here in the accused box and listen for you, like in Nuremberg trials, to dispense or give me justice, my enemies. And I expect it to be fair. Why should they do this when they say, wait a minute, you dropped 2 atomic bombs? What about destroying a country like Vietnam on a lie? And the lie was the Gulf of Tonkin. How about the 55,000 American soldiers that were killed during that false pretense to invade a country? Cambodia was bombed. Laos was bombed. What did Cambodia and Laos do to the United States of America? What did Vietnam do to the United States of America? Gulf of Tonkin? Remember, that was the reason why they invaded. I can go on and on and on. And since we don't go back and right those wrongs, how do you expect these criminals to say, yes, man, I'm just gonna show up and I will just expect you to be just? After you did that. You don't like it? Me neither. But hey, there evidence, it's fact, historical evidence. I'm not pulling out of my ass all this information. You can find it just 2 clicks away. Click, click, clop, clop. Let me put my little watch here. So anyway, my friends, think about it. Why should these guys do it? Based on what? Stupidity? Probably. So don't expect that. Don't expect them to just show up and say, yes, man, I think I've been a bad boy. Can you please judge me because you're a fair party? No, they will not do that. If they do that, then they didn't read history. One is Nuremberg trials and see how those were conducted. I'm not here to defend anybody. I'm just pointing out the things that maybe some people need to read about. Not only one side, but more than one. And they will understand if I would be, let's say Clinton or others would be, judged by how those guys were done over there, they will be probably hanged as well. I'm just, I don't know, having a gut feeling. Thank you very much for being with me again today. And I'm going to give you a book as a reference. I can't give you the whole thing, but I think it was called Nuremberg, the Last Battle or Last Fight. And it was written by a British historian or author. His first name is, I think he's still alive, David. I can't give you the last name. Anyway, you're gonna find the person. He's a bad person, okay? So be careful when you look over that book or check that guy online. Watch them. They're gonna be, oh my God, this guy access, this guy, David. You can have these guys look for you. Thank you very much for being with me again today. That's only one book, just one of many, but you have to look for them. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.